This isn't a city in a third world country. This is Flint, Michigan, once a symbol of the glory of America's automotive industry. Sadly, now labeled as the poorest city in this superpower nation. But what really happened here? How did a city that once fueled millions of dreams become a place where water from the tap can kill its children? Why are the factories that once roared without rest now just rusted metal frames? And why even today are many residents still afraid to drink the water in their own homes? Here, on the flatlands of Michigan, surrounded by rivers and deciduous forests, a grand history was written with machines and sweat. General Motors was founded in this city in 1908, and from that point on, Flint was never the same. This automotive giant grew rapidly, absorbing thousands of workers, building factory after factory, and creating an industrial ecosystem never before seen outside of Detroit. Flint became a magnet, a place for those chasing a better life. At its peak, more than 80,000 people worked directly for General Motors. That was nearly half the city's population. In Flint, young people didn't need college to succeed. Graduate high school, enter the factory, and a week later, they could already bring home a paycheck big enough to buy a house, a car, and a summer vacation. The city prospered. The streets were busy, schools were full, houses of worship stood on every block. Restaurants, movie theaters, and shopping centers were never empty. Flint wasn't just alive, it shone. In 1960, Flint ranked among the cities with the highest per capita income in the United States. The working class enjoyed a standard of living that once could only be dreamed of by the elite. This was a place where the American dream wasn't just a slogan. It was real, it was tangible, it lived in Flint. But like many stories of glory, everything changed. Slowly, silently, but fatally. In the late 1980s, General Motors, or GM, closed many of its plants in Flint as part of a restructuring effort. One of the most well-known, the closure of the Fisher Body Plant, one of the most historic car factories in Flint, followed by Buick City, which was completely shut down in 1999. These closures didn't just eliminate thousands of jobs. They also destroyed the local economic chain. Small restaurants, industrial suppliers, repair shops, grocery stores, all collapsed because there were no more regular customers. At its worst, by the 2000s, the number of GM employees in Flint had dropped to about 8,000. That means more than 90% of the primary jobs disappeared in just 20 years. Since then, Flint has never truly recovered. Its population dropped sharply, from nearly 200,000 people in 1960 to only 78,700 by 2025. And the homes once filled with working families are now empty, abandoned, or repossessed by banks. When industry left Flint, they didn't just leave behind empty buildings, they left a giant hole that has never been filled again. Flint today is not a dead city, but a city that lives by surviving. In many corners of the city, the daily life of Flint residents moves at a slow, careful pace. In the North Side neighborhood, one of the poorest areas, many families live with incomes far below the state average. Data from 2023 shows that the average household income in Flint is only around $36,000 per year, compared to Michigan's average, which is nearly twice that. About 34% of the population lives below the poverty line, and this figure rises to nearly 70% for children under the age of 18. In many families, The only source of income comes from part-time jobs in the service sector. Fast food restaurants, store clerks, or hospital cleaners. Major supermarkets are hard to find in some districts, forcing residents to buy groceries from gas stations or small convenience stores at high prices with limited options. This is what is known as a food desert, an area lacking access to fresh and healthy food. But amid all of that, social life has not disappeared. Residents still gather at churches, community centers, or weekly free meal events. Some young people are active in art groups, community sports, even small urban farms that grow on empty lots where houses once stood. Those who live in Flint don't stay because they have no choice. Many of them stay because this is home, and home isn't always perfect, but it's still worth fighting for. Water is life, but in Flint, water turned into a source of pain. In 2014, in an effort to cut costs, the city government switched the water supply from Lake Huron to the Flint River without corrosion treatment. That decision proved to be fatal. Old lead pipes immediately reacted with the corrosive water. In a short time, heavy metal toxins leaked into the entire distribution system. And thousands of residents, including children, began drinking hazardous water every day without knowing they were being poisoned in their own homes. Reports from the CDC stated that more than 99,000 people were exposed to lead during the crisis. In certain areas, like 48503 and 48504, the proportion of children with high lead levels doubled in just 1 year. The effects cannot be reversed. Lead damages children's brains, slows development, worsens behavior. Not just physical, it also kills trust. Even after the government declared the water safe, many residents still don't dare to drink it. Most homes still store filters, water jugs, or buy bottled water. A study from Harvard noted that after the crisis, children's math test scores dropped drastically, and enrollment in special education rose by 8%. Flint has become a symbol, not just of infrastructure failure, but of the failure of public protection. And although thousands of pipes have now been replaced, one thing that hasn't fully recovered is the sense of safety. For the people of Flint, water is no longer a simple thing. Every drop holds history and trauma. Flint didn't stay silent, but the road to recovery is harder than imagined. Since the water crisis caught international attention, dozens of organizations stepped in, from the CDC, EPA, to local philanthropic institutions. The state government promised billions of dollars for infrastructure, health, and education. One major project is the replacement of more than 10,000 lead pipes, which is now nearly complete. Then there are programs like a Reconnecting McDowell version for Flint, which builds apartments for teachers so they can live near the schools where they teach. But the challenge isn't just infrastructure. Many residents still face digital barriers. Without stable internet access, job training like coding or online business becomes irrelevant. Then there's the legal and local political system, which many residents see as slow, closed off, and full of bureaucracy. Inequality also continues to loom. While some districts have begun to recover, areas like the east side or the northern part of the city still resemble ghost towns. Efforts are always present, but the speed of change often doesn't match the depth of the damage. And the question remains the same: how do you rebuild not just buildings, but trust? Because for Flint, the future won't come on its own. It must be fought for, in the midst of uncertainty, with the strength that remains. Flint is not just a city, it is a story about a brutal fall, about systemic betrayal, but also about the strength to stand when every reason to stand has been taken. This city once gave the world great cars, hard workers, and the American spirit. But when everything was stripped away, jobs, clean water, hope, Flint still didn't disappear. Maybe they no longer have industrial shine. Maybe the numbers are bad, the media forgets, and the world doesn't care. But those who live here know one thing: home is not a perfect place, but a place you keep fighting for, even when everyone says it's not worth it. Because Flint is not a city that gives up. Flint is a city that's been hurt over and over again, but always comes back. And in a wealthy country called America, Flint reminds us, true strength is not born from luxury, but from the resolve to keep living, even when nothing promises tomorrow.